Welcome to the inaugural broadcast of UrbanEx Real Talk Fitness Radio News, where we don't bring you just the trending news, but also the news you need to know to assist you in making healthier choices for yourself in the hopes that you will be successful in navigating the often murky waters of the health and fitness industry. I'm your host, Tiaja. We'll be back next week with part 7 of our popular series, Why You and Everyone Else is Wrong About Fat. But as promised, each month, we're going to veer off the beaten path and offer you something a little bit different. Look at it as an opportunity to go over your notes for a week and apply them before heading back to class. You know, it's only February, and already this year shaping up to be one of the most interesting on record regarding the health and fitness industry. From the complexity of the hospital price transparency laws to the almost terrifying reality of the world's first genetically modified babies to a medical breakthrough to reverse the aging process, we cover it all. And as a bonus, a special report today why sleep is good for your arteries. As I have often said, reality can be stranger than fiction. It is Tuesday, February 26, 2019. Let's flow. The Hospital Price Transparency Law. What is that, you might ask? Well, beginning January 1st, 2019, hospitals were required to post their price lists online in an effort to increase price transparency and empower consumers to make informed choices about their care. As one would expect, not everyone is happy about being forced into such transparency. Shocker there. The vast majority of providers, in fact, are worried about the impact of the rule. But get this, 92% of providers said they are somewhat or very concerned about the public perception of their prices. Consumer uncertainty over how hospital charge master prices relate to their ultimate out-of-pocket costs is likely to affect payers as well. The new rule offers an opportunity for health plans to share educational materials and strategies about how to shop for care, maximize the value of high deductible plans and health savings accounts, and develop better financial management skills. If you haven't heard of it, take a listen. This is what the experts are saying.
From cars to clothes to food, we always know the price before we pay. There's one big exception, healthcare. But that may be changing. Starting today, the federal government requires every hospital to list prices online. Michael Frank could have used that information 3 years ago. Frank wanted to know how much a hip replacement would cost before getting the surgery.
I contacted the insurance company, and they sent me right back to the hospital.
He never got an answer.
This was kind of like playing Russian roulette, but I didn't have a choice.
Out of pocket, Frank had to pay $10,000. Now, hospitals will have to post prices, but it's complicated. Jeannie Pinder runs a website that helps patients save money. She gave us a tour of how hospitals are now posting their prices.
What benefit does it give patients?
We're not 100% sure because the prices, the sticker prices or charge prices, are often wildly inflated.
Patient out-of-pocket costs vary depending on coverage and deductibles. Government officials do admit that this is just the first step toward more transparency in healthcare pricing.
If you are about to get a procedure and you're concerned about how much you're going to owe at the end of it, what should you do?
We recommend that people ask, how much will it cost me on my insurance plan? Can I have that in writing? Will there be any other charges? And to keep asking those questions.
In other words, insist on getting the price tag long before cutting the check. Stephanie Gosk, NBC News, New York.
Our second news story explores the ethical question of whether science has the moral or ethical authority to tamper with human life. And it was put on trial when Chinese scientist Hu Zhengwei announced to the world that he successfully used the gene editing tool CRISPR to modify the DNA of 2 embryos before birth. Now, CRISPR is a method by which genomes of living organisms can be edited. Here's the report.
2 beautiful little Chinese girls.
This is the doctor who changed the future of the human race and let the world know on YouTube. He Zhengwei stunned the scientific community with the claim he pushed the boundary no one else had.
A line has been crossed that should not have been crossed.
It's very disturbing. It's inappropriate.
Oh, this is huge.
He says he genetically edited human embryos, not just for research but for implantation, leading to the world's first births of genetically altered humans, baby girls born in China from embryos designed to be resistant to HIV.
For this specific case, I feel proud, actually.
The tool used by He, called CRISPR, is found in labs around the world.
It gives us the precise way of cutting the gene or putting a new piece of gene in.
It's often used by researchers trying to treat incurable diseases.
The method itself is very easy. You can use it, everybody can use it now.
Leaders in the field of gene editing have collectively agreed it's too early to implant edited embryos in humans because of the risks, the unknowns, and the ethical questions about altering humankind.
We're at a hinge of human history.
William Hurlbut is a leading American bioethicist who teaches at Stanford University. In the months before the news broke, Dr. He consulted with him.
Every time we met together, we would talk about the seriousness of the issues and in a sort of stepwise way what you had to do to make sure that it was done right. But when I heard that there were live-born children from it, I thought, oh my gosh, he just jumped ahead.
Hurlbut knew nothing of the plans to implant edited human embryos. Dr. He studied at Stanford as a postdoctoral fellow where he worked with leading researchers. Hurlbut describes him as smart but perhaps too trusting of his own wisdom.
He's young, he's inexperienced, and he's from a small rural community in China.
He's research has been shut down by Chinese authorities. It's also raised questions about whether there will be a rash of new regulations to stymie scientific development, or if scientists can regulate themselves.
We all want to be first, right? I mean, this is where you really feel that you're making a huge difference and you're getting recognition. But I think in this particular case, the outcry from the community is so huge that I think it'll slow things down.
He's work has already stoked fears about the future, what it could look like, how soon it could come, whether it includes designer babies, and if a tool found in labs around the world could one day make them. Alexandra Field, CNN, Hong Kong.
Our next story discusses the often controversial topic of aging. The medical therapy here is called senolytics. Senolytics are a class of drugs that target cells that have entered senescence, meaning an old age stage that renders them toxic to surrounding healthy cells. And these drugs aim to attack the harmful cells selectively and so prevent the development of age-related diseases or to reduce their impact. According to Dr. Nicholas Musai, cellular senescence is clearly emerging as a main player in aging. Previously, no published data existed to demonstrate that drugs targeting cellular senescence could be safely given to older patients or that they might be used to treat diseases of aging. The pilot research we've reported is in preliminary stages, he said, but it's encouraging. Here's the report.
We all hope to grow old one day and live a meaningful life, but most people are not excited about these signs of aging. Well, what if we could manipulate the expression of your DNA and slow down the aging process? Have a look.
Everyone's searching for the fountain of youth. And now, according to a new study, there just might be one. Researchers from the University of Alabama at Birmingham examined the aging process in the cells of mice. They caused the mice to age by creating a mutation in their cells that caused the cell's mitochondria to malfunction. They created a system that turned on the mutation when the antibiotic doxycycline was fed to the mice. In only a matter of weeks, the mice developed gray hair, hair loss, lethargy, and even wrinkles. Then, to undo the aging, researchers restored mitochondrial function by withdrawing the doxycycline. This reversed the mutation in the cells. After a month, the mice returned to having smooth, young-looking skin and thick fur. So, is targeting our mitochondria the preventive step we need for maintaining a youthful appearance? Or is this all just another fake fountain of youth?
That was fascinating.
Yeah. And the timeline is, I think, what's really fascinating, because there's more and more research coming out about mitochondria, which are the powerhouses in cells. They produce ATP. But this study was fascinating because it was the first to really show that mitochondria can regulate all those changes we associate with aging: wrinkled skin, hair loss, thinning, and the fact that you could turn on the mitochondrial dysfunction and within weeks see that dramatic changes.
To reverse it.
Exactly. Turn off the dysfunction, get the mitochondrial DNA replicating again.
Sign me up.
Yes, I mean, it's really an interesting therapeutic target.
But it also highlights, a lot of us say we're born with our DNA, we don't have a say in how it expresses itself in our life, how long we live, it's all predetermined. This is another sign that there are ways, and who knows what science will show us, but even the way we live, if we can impact the way our mitochondria work inside of us, we can we know this, right? We can delay the aging process or accelerate it. And I think what'll be interesting is where we go from here. I'm curious what your thoughts are from, you two both are into
anti-aging.
Obviously, and aging gracefully.
This is so exciting, and I think we are going to unlock some genetic keys, but it's not get away from the lifestyle factors that we know impact you when it comes to aging, and we know what those are: smoking, not eating right, not exercising, sun damage to your skin. We know all of those are the big agers.
Yeah, and I think it is always good to point out when you see something like this in a mouse. Even I get super excited about this type of research, but we don't know if this is going to translate to human research as well and really play out in people the way it played out so dramatically in the mice experiment. I mean, when you look at these photos, remember, these are over the courses of months. This is 1 to 2 months.
Dramatic.
And then 1 to 2 months again. But really interesting research. I mean, fascinating the role that mitochondria may play in terms of skin and hair aging, which we just didn't really have as therapeutic target before.
The fact that you can manipulate that change in a mouse with preset DNA means that every single person in this studio, every single person at home, you can impact your DNA and your mitochondria. And so I always say this, it's boring, I know, but you start living a healthier life today, you're going to be able to engage in some of the anti-aging benefit we see with those mouses there. Or the reverse is also true.
You know what I always say, aging is optional.
It is. I mean, look at you.
To a certain extent.
Well, look at you, young buck.
Well, I'm trying.
Every year you look younger and younger.
I've been listening to you for 11 years. I guess it's rubbed off.
Espoused, I was going to say, aren't you proud to hear everything he listed? The smoking, the ultraviolet damage. He was just giving you like a whole list of great lifestyle interventions, sleeping.
Although I'm still not sure he follows the UV damage advice. I'm just... The tan is too nice all the time, Drew. I'm not. I think there are a few slip-ups on that one.
And so those genes in there somehow are helping me.
And finally, I've been extolling the virtues of sleep for decades now. In fact, I've always made a clear distinction between rest and sleep because I'm committed to the belief that both are vitally important biological weapons in the fight against a host of diseases. And now it looks like science is finally coming to its senses and agreeing with me. The new science confirms sleep is integral to life, and yet insufficient or disturbed sleep is a significant issue that affects millions of people. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, estimates that 35% of adults in the United States were regularly sleeping less than 7 hours per 24-hour period in 2014. So using mice that were genetically predisposed to develop atherosclerosis, the researchers allowed half of them to sleep well and disrupted the sleep of the other half. Comparing them with the mice that slept well, the team found that the disrupted sleep mice developed arterial plaques that were up to 1/3 larger. The sleep-disrupted mice also produced twice the amount of a certain type of inflammatory white blood cell in their bone marrow, and the lateral hypothalamus of their brains produced less hypocretin. Atherosclerosis developed more slowly in sleep-disrupted mice that had hypocretin supplementation compared with those that did not. The author notes that hypocretin controls blood cell production in bone marrow by regulating a type of signaling protein. They conclude that the rise in white blood cells and acceleration of atherosclerosis in the sleep-disturbed mice were due to the reduction of hypocretin and increases in these proteins. They suggest that undisturbed sleep protects blood vessels from atherosclerotic damage by regulating hypocretin production in the hypothalamus. Now here are my 2 cents, and feel free to keep the change. It sometimes gets messy and overwhelming when trying to figure out how to solve even the smallest mysteries about your health. What I attempt to do every week through these broadcasts is offer you a decision-making roadmap so that your work towards a better life can work for you rather than against you. My aim is to heighten your awareness from what you eat to the motivations and incentives you give yourself once you leave the gym. I want to assist you in avoiding the biases in your workouts, which has you thinking solely of looking a certain way versus feeling and becoming the person you want to introduce to the world. Decision making is about ideas, but even ideas aren't enough. There is an important distinction between having ideas and making good decisions about what to do with those ideas. My clients have often asked me, where do I start? And my answer is always the same: from right where you are. It's the only way to get you to where you want to be. Every personal decision is never truly personal because in the end, it ultimately affects the lives of those around you. My hope is that whatever you decide to do with the news and information you receive from the world around you will never taint your impression of you. The goal is to gather information from various sources, then make educated and successful decisions that will bring good news to your life on a daily basis. There really is nothing news under the sun. Walk in health and peace.